I started my career in public accounting in 2006 at PwC, working in their audit division. This lasted for about 2 years, just enough for me to get my CPA designation. Upon completing 2 years, there were a number of career options I could have chosen. And today, after 16 years of working in private industry as a controller, I wanted to make this video to talk about all of the possibilities, all of the doors that open up as a result of working in public accounting. Sure, the hours can be intense, especially during busy seasons, but hold on to your calculators. Public accounting offers a treasure trove of benefits that go way beyond just a steady paycheck and offers a launch pad for your accounting career that is impossible to beat. So today we'll talk about these 5 exit opportunities from public accounting. We'll talk about what kind of work entails each of these jobs. We'll talk about the earning potential, certain metrics like career satisfaction, work-life balance, and things like that. And then we'll summarize this at the end. So you want to stick around till the end and look at the summary of the exit opportunities and the average score that each one gets. We'll talk about the highest role and the maximum earnings you can get with each one. So that's the topic of this video today. Let's dive right in. All right, let's begin with exit opportunity number 1, which is accounting or private industry. And this is the one that I chose after working 2 years at PwC. I worked in audit and financial services, and then I exited to work as an analyst at a startup company. So this is the career path that I chose, and then I went on to become a controller, which is what I do today. And I teach other accountants how to become and work as a controller in my Controller Academy, which I'll leave a link down below. But with this kind of exit opportunity, basically if you work for 2 years, and most likely you'll be a senior in audit, you'll exit as a senior accountant earning somewhere around 85K, and this would be your base and your bonus without any equity component. This is a national average in the US. In higher earning areas like New York City or LA, you obviously you have a bigger number than this, upward of 100K, but this is a national average. If you stay a little longer, so if you stay 4 to 5 years, most likely you'll become a manager. Let's say an audit. Your exit is going to be to a manager or a senior manager of accounting, earning somewhere between 120 and 170K. Now, if you stick around a little longer, gain more experience, 6 to 8 years, that's likely going to be a senior manager now in public. Your exit is going to be directly to a director or a controller position, earning between 180 to 280 a year without any equity component, which could be substantial in some companies, especially if they're public, say Amazon or Google. Your equity component could be another maybe 50 to 75K. So that can put you above 300K if you stick around to 8 years in public. Now, in this kind of career path, your highest earning potential is going to become a chief accounting officer, and your earnings are going to be on average 575K between base and bonus, not counting any of equity component. That's 575. Now, when we look at some of the metrics that I like to count for these jobs, so I look at job security, I look at task satisfaction, earning potential, work-life balance. I like to rate accounting for job security as a 9 out of 10. Typically working in accounting is pretty secure, so like you are in one of the safest teams or groups within the company working in accounting, so I will rate that as a 9 out of 10. For task satisfaction, I'm going to give that a 7 out of 10. On one hand, working in accounting can be exciting because you're dealing with different diverse types of accounting transactions or business transaction rather, and finding out the accounting treatment. So there is an element of diversity or different things that you're doing, but there's also an element of repetition because you're working on closing the books over and over and over every single month. So that's why I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. And for earning potential, I'm giving it an 8. out of 10, as we've seen, it's pretty high. You could, with 8 years of experience, you could be close to 300K in a high earning area like the East Coast or the West Coast of the United States. As far as a work-life balance, I'm gonna give it a 9. Especially coming out of public, this is gonna be a breath of fresh air, getting into private industry, working 9 to 5, and really keeping your hours at around 40 hours per week. It could be maybe 45 hours when it gets a little busy, but it doesn't typically get higher than that. All right, let's talk about the exit opportunity number 2, which is internal audit. So if you're working in audit and public accounting, this is going to be similar, but you're working on the inside of a company in the internal audit department. You're going to be testing the internal controls, making sure that the company's procedures are up to bar to prevent any kind of fraud. So you're going to be designing and implementing and testing, in some cases, the internal controls of the company, making sure the financial framework is secure and fraud proof. So when we look at that, we look at 2 to 3 years exit. So after 2 to 3 years in public, typically you're a senior at this point, and you exit as a senior auditor earning around 85K. If you stay 4 to 5 years and become a manager, your exit is going to be manager or senior manager of internal audit, earning upward of 170K. If you stick a little longer, up to 8 years, and you exit as a director of internal audit, your comp is going to be up to 250K based on US national averages. Now, the highest role that you can reach is going to be a chief audit officer, earning around 500K a year without any equity compensation. If we rate this career path on the other metrics that we looked at before, for job security, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So it is pretty secure. I do think it's a slightly less secure job than private industry or private accounting. The reason why it's a little bit less secure is that you could let go some, if you're going through restructuring or reduction of cost, you could lay off some of your internal audit team before you can lay off some of your core accounting team. So it is pretty high on job security, but it's not just as high as accounting from my point of view. Task satisfaction, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. The reason why I'm giving it a 6 is due to the repetitive nature of the work. So a lot of times when you're working in internal audit, you are in some cases testing over and over again the same set of controls, and that could get a little tough when you're doing it over and over. For earning potential, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10, which is pretty solid. Work-life balance, also an 8 out of 10. And stay tuned till the end of the video. I'm going to summarize all of these scores for all of the career path in one sheet, so you can kind of see a full view of what we're talking about here. The third opportunity we're going to be talking about is FP&A, or financial planning and analysis. This one is going to be more lucrative, as you'll see here in a minute. And FP&A is the team that's within a company that is working on creating a budget, a forecast, enforcing the budget, making sure the company is working or progressing toward a plan of growth. So usually it is defined by a 5-year plan, making sure that every year's budget is going to get the company closer toward achieving its financial goals. So FP&A, when we're looking at exiting after 2 years or 2 to 3 years, typically you're a senior, you're going to exit as a financial analyst, making on average about 100K between base and bonus. If you stick around a little longer, 4 to 5 years, and you're a manager in public, your exit could be to a senior financial analyst. Your earnings are going to be close to 150K in this case. If you decide to stay longer and your goal is to be an FP&A, most likely that means that you want to be an advisory, not an audit, right? Because if you are an auditor and you stay up to 6 or 8 years, you're just going to become much more specialized in audit. Right, but if you want to take the FP&A route, you want to leave audit and you want to be an advisory, typically an M&A, a merger and acquisition, some sort of advisory role that involves working with companies, evaluating investments, and things like that. So in that case, your exit could be to an FP&A manager or sometimes senior manager, earning upward to 250K. With a more significant bonus component. Usually FP&A would make a higher bonus rate than, say, internal audit or accounting. Now, the highest earning potential is going to become a chief financial officer, earning 675K. That's only based on bonus. It is pretty significant when you factor in the equity component, especially if you work for a public company. The total comp could be $3, $4, $5 million a year. So definitely there's a big high earning potential here for FP&A. When we look at the metrics, such as job security and task satisfaction, we'll see that job security is about an 8. So I'm going to rate it here like internal audit, a little bit less than accounting. And then with the task satisfaction, I'm going to give it a 9, which is one of the highest in this rating that I'm giving today. And that's because you're working on things that are more strategic and more stimulating than just testing controls or booking transactions like accounting. Here, you're working on a budget, a plan. You're really learning what drives the business. You're learning about the products more than any other division in the company in terms of finance. You're much more closer to the product than, say, accounting or internal audit. The earning potential, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I could give it a 10 out of 10 because this one honestly has the highest potential for earnings. But then when you look at the next one, work-life balance, I'm giving it a 7. I could also give it a 6 maybe because of the pressure. So there's a certain pressure to work on the budget, enforce the budget. There is board and investor meetings preparation that is quite intense. And as you progress in your career, not only you'll be preparing stuff, but you're going to be presenting to the board, presenting to investors, and it could be stressful. So it is a high risk or high stress, high reward type career, and it is one of the highest ones. So we'll look at the end at the summary sheet to see how they all rack up together. The next one is going to be product control, and I guess some of you might know what product control is and some might not know. So to summarize what we're talking about here is when we are talking about a hedge fund or an investment bank, typically there's a front office which is going to be made up of the traders and analysts. So analysts making all kind of research, coming up with what to buy, what to sell. Traders who are executing on these trades, that's the front office. And then you have the back office, which is going to consist of the data entry and the reporting, right? So these are the accountants and the such who are working in the back office and taking all this information and creating reports. Now, there is a middle office which this product control belongs to. The middle office is going to be reporting the P&L and the balance sheet on weekly, sometimes daily basis, actually often daily basis, P&L and balance sheet, providing this information to the front office so that they're able to make better decisions on the investments. So that's what product control is. And typically these product control people are accountants because we're talking about P&L and a balance sheet, right? So with product control, you're looking at an exit after 2 to 3 years, and you're typically a senior to a product control analyst making about 90K. If you stick around a little longer, 4 to 5 years, you're a manager and you're making somewhere between 120 and 170K. Now, this career path has a maximum potential of becoming a VP of hedge fund operations, typically making around 500K a year without the equity. And typically with hedge funds, there is a big component of equity because what they do is they get a piece of the investment or set aside some money for you and invest it. And this piece can grow substantially, especially if the hedge fund or the bank is pretty successful. So it could be pretty lucrative. When we look at the metrics such as job security, it's an 8 out of 10. It is a support function. It's pretty steady. If you're working in a front office, such as an analyst or a trader, that has a low job security, but this one has a pretty decent job security. Task satisfaction, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 due to the repetitive nature because you are always reporting almost the same thing daily. So when I worked with some of these analysts or product control people, when I was an auditor, I would deal with them and look at their daily work, and I found it pretty boring because it is the same thing almost day in and day out. So I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10. For earning potential, it's an 8 out of 10. This one has a pretty similar earning potential to accountants and internal audit folks. For a work-life balance, I'm going to give it slightly lower than accounting and internal audit. I'm going to give it a 7 because you are working with traders and analysts for the front office. So because you're working with them directly, there is a high component of stress because they are stressed and they are going to stress you out as well. So I'm going to give this one a 7. Let's move on to equity research. So equity research by far is the sexiest career path out of all of these. So I remember working in audit and public accounting. A bunch of us kids were talking to each other about equity research, and only a few made it out of public accounting to equity research because it is a pretty competitive path and typically doesn't take candidates from audit. It will take very few and exceptional candidates from audit, and it will take maybe more from advisory like M&A and other advisory groups. So with equity research, you look at an exit after 2 to 3 years with a salary of $150K as a research associate. So typically the hierarchy is structured as research associates working for someone called an analyst. That analyst is going to be earning a lot more, upward of $400K, and it's just called an analyst, but he's managing a bunch of research associates under them. If you stay longer in public, you would need to be an advisory though, not an audit. And you're looking at an exit to an analyst position and earning between $250 to $400K. And your highest earning potential in this case is to reach a managing director of research, and your base and bonus combined is going to be upward of $800K as an average. When we look at the other metrics that we looked at before, job security, 7 out of 10, task satisfaction, 9 out of 10, because in this case, you're working on very strategic projects. Earning potential, 9, because this is a very high potential for earnings. Work-life balance, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 because of the high stress and demand of the job. All right, now let's go ahead and summarize everything we talked about today. So we said the 5 categories or 5 exit opportunities are going to be accounting, internal audit, FP&A, product control, equity research. When we add up all of these scores that we gave before for job security and task satisfaction, so on and so forth, we'll find accounting averaging 8.25, which is the highest, which is a tie with FP&A at 8.25. So these are the 2 highest career potential from my perspective. And this is based on my own experience working in finance for the last 18 years, plus speaking to my peers in various industries in internal audit, FP&A, equity research. These are slightly subjective based on my own opinion, but also they are objective in the sense that I've gathered all of these opinions based on speaking to my network of professionals in all of these other segments. In terms of a summary on the highest earning potential, so these are the highest roles you can reach with each of these different career paths. And these are the highest earnings that you can reach based on each one, just base and bonus without any equity component, which can be quite significant, of course. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and hit that like button. That's how you can help me spread this video around. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, if you want to learn more about careers in accounting and finance and controllership. And I'll see you in the next video.